Hey, commercial radio guy here. Thanks for joining us today. You're listening to the Stand podcast, where you're going to learn the story about how Bobby Westside and the Stand recorded the album you're listening to right now.
Hello, I'm your host, Bobby Westside. I am the lead singer and guitar player of the band, and I am joined here with
Salvador Wheely, and I play the drums.
and
Roland Torrance on the mediocre bass.
so guys, this album has been a long time coming. It's been kind of like a year of production. Do you guys remember, like, the whole theme of this album is essentially like our lives during the pandemic. Do you guys remember like when this all started?
Yeah, because, well, Bobby Westside and myself, Roland Torrance, our birthdays were celebrated the last normal weekend.
That's right.
Weekend of the 6th. That was the last normal weekend. We had a big party.
That's right. And then like the next like Tuesday or something, because this was back like in March of 2020. And I remember like it felt like something was about to change, but we were just there having a good time.
One person showed up and said, "Should we really be doing this?"
Who was that? Do you know?
Felicia.
Oh.
That was one person showed up and said, "Should we really be doing this with this COVID thing?" Like, oh, no, it's fine.
No,
Yeah, because it didn't seem like that big of a deal at that point in time.
Not at all.
I actually remember being in California in late February, and it wasn't something Americans were concerned about, but I saw maybe 5 or 10 people wearing masks out in the great state of California while I was there for a couple of days. And I knew what was going on. I knew that was coronavirus, and that was why they were out there wearing masks. It was just a different world to be walking around and in a crowd, and 3 people are wearing masks out of thousands that you're around, world doesn't look like that anymore.
Yeah, my mom flew cross country that weekend.
Yeah, I remember.
She flew cross country, nobody wearing a mask, nothing. Didn't even think once about coronavirus. We had no recorded cases in New Mexico at that time.
Yeah, I just remember like when she like walked into like the bar for our birthday party. I just made like a joke saying like, "Oh, you made sure to like when you got on the plane like you wipe down all the seats with disinfectant." Not knowing that was going to be our lives for the next year.
That was 14 months ago. Seems like 14 years ago.
I know. But like you were saying, that was like the last normal weekend.
Our last normal day was Friday the 13th.
Really?
The next Friday. My birthday was March 6th, and then Friday. The next Friday was the 13th. Friday the 13th, and then everything shut down the next day.
Well, see, I remember we were at a bar here in Las Cruces, going home to spend my birthday with my family, and I remember things started shutting down that Wednesday. So
Yeah.
that would have been like the 10th or something.
Then the president made the speech on Saturday. I do remember that.
Okay.
I remember that.
And then, and then I pretty much just spent like the next couple of months at my parents' house. And I'm just like, well, this at least feels kind of safe.
You know what's a funny thing that happened?
What?
That like we had been talking off and on, but we weren't really communicating about what was going on with the band. And then like within a couple of hours of each other, you and I both posted multi-track recordings of like little projects that we had done to keep ourselves busy.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
And mine was a song I wrote like 8 years ago called Learning. And yours was the very first demo of Lost Astronaut.
That's right. I forgot about that I posted to SoundCloud.
Yeah, and I posted on my personal Reverb Nation page, and we hadn't discussed it, we hadn't talked about it, but like within hours of each other, we were posting that, and then the next thing I knew, you were calling me and starting to send me files and some demos that you had tracked yourself, apparently to keep yourself busy in quarantine. And I remember listening to those, and it was just absolute fire. It was absolute fire, and I couldn't wait to start playing drums on it.
Yeah, that was like such a weird time because like when quarantine first started, I felt safe because I was at my parents' house and I was technically not alone, but I just felt like absolutely alone. Like, because I'm not going to spend my entire time with my parents, even though I love them dearly. And like you were saying, I recorded a Lost Astronaut just to keep myself busy. And I didn't have like any of my equipment that I do now. I don't have any of the equipment that we're currently using with me. I had my iPhone, which had GarageBand on it. And then I had one of those like cheap Apple headphones that come with the phone that had the microphone on it. So how I recorded a Lost Astronaut, that first demo, is I programmed the drums on my phone, and then I just played my guitar, and I like held the microphone on the headphones, the AirPods, and just really close to it so it could pick it up, and then I just like reverb the hell out of it to make it sound decent. And that's also how I recorded the vocals. And I had to actually like look for those headphones because those aren't the headphones that I use like normally. I had to go like look through like drawers and like, are these headphones? Okay, these are the ones I'm looking for.
No, I when I made that multi-track recording at my house of that tune, I was basically just using the internal mic on my laptop, and I played the drums live and I sang everything live, but I wasn't even using a microphone. I was just using
you were just using the microphone on the laptop?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and when I recorded the drums, I had the computer like as far away from me as my cables would allow, so that I could still be wearing headphones.
Did you have like a guiding track or?
Why? Yeah.
Okay.
I had recorded the guitars before, which is not how you're supposed to do it, but whatever. It was my little quarantine project. I wasn't trying to make $1 million off of it.
Yeah,
Right.
2 weeks to flatten the curve, right?
Yeah, 2 weeks to flatten. It was during the 2 weeks to flatten the curve.
Oh, that was the thing.
2 weeks to flatten the curve. Just stay home.
How many weeks has it been now?
That's been 14 months. So,
So what were you doing in those early days, Mr. Roland?
oh, that was an odd time. My absolute favorite genre, my two favorite genres of literature are horror, post-apocalyptic, and dystopian.
But you didn't expect to like live it?
Oh yeah, that was crazy. Now in the Stand, in the book, the virus mortality rate is about 98%, but it was just so strange. I remember I always swim after work, and then the pool shut down, so I would go for runs after work, and it was just so odd. I mean, people, I don't know. There was this sense of kind of we're coming apart at the seams. It was scary. I would go out for runs and people just looked scared.
Yeah.
I remember that. People looked scared.
Like just running, like when I went for runs in like my parents' neighborhood, it just felt like a post-apocalyptic movie scene.
It looked like, what it reminded me of was actually the very beginning of The Stand when the virus first hits. The Stand is my favorite book of all time. But when the virus first hits and what first happens in the book is terrifying. And when things first start to shut down, people first start to get sick, that's what the very beginning, like March, April, May, that's what it reminded me of. First few chapters of The Stand. That was terrifying. It was so strange. But yeah, a lot of running, a lot of Uber Eats.
That does sound terrible. And
You know what else sounds terrible is when you tap the table while you're talking because the mic picks it up.
I tried to convey
Sorry.
without saying it to Roland.
I'm the bass player. I'm not as important. Therefore, I don't have headphones.
Yeah, you only don't have headphones because we only have a splitter for 2 headphones.
Yeah, and the drummer got the other headphones.
Yep. I mean,
But yeah, I don't know if you all know this, but Sal needs a chiropractor. His back hurts from carrying the rhythm section.
you're too hard on yourself sometimes. You're a great bass player. You're my second favorite bass player of all time.
So, Roland was talking a second ago about his favorite book, The Stand. Should we use this opportunity to talk about why the band name is Bobby Westside and The Stand for this particular release?
Yeah, I mean, like last year when we were talking about like recording, when we started recording a bunch of songs, this is probably March through like end of May, I just stayed in Carlsbad, and then finally I just got too stir crazy, and I'm like, I have to go back, and I want to play music again. So then I made the trek back here to Las Cruces, and I was like, hey guys, I have like 7 new songs. Do you guys want to jam and learn them all? And then we started learning them, and then like the first song I had written in quarantine, I titled Social Distancing, because it was about the pandemic. And that is the first track on this album, or the last track, depending on what I change it to after we record this podcast. And that was like the first one I think I sent you guys. Mm-hmm. If it wasn't a Lost Astronaut, it was that one.
And we have a video of the first time we played through Last Astronaut.
Right.
Yep, first time I played my new bass with you guys.
And I wrote that song just about the early days and like not knowing and just how I felt. I had way too much coffee one morning and I got super anxious, and I just came up with that song.
Not knowing, it was all uncharted territory.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the fun things that happened after Bobby Westside got back from Carlsbad and we all started to get together to play music again is we decided we were going to start recording this stuff because we wanted to be able to let all you guys hear it, and we didn't have any place to play because live concerts had been canceled.
Yeah, and we were supposed to play Record Store Day at the local record shop here in Las Cruces, Iconic Records, and I was supposed to host it, and I was so excited about it. And it was going to be in April, I believe. It was going to be either in April or May. And I was like, oh, it's a month from now. We'll be good.
No.
We're just 2-week quarantine, and then everything will be back to normal.
We were so naive.
We were so young and naive back then. So when I came back, we did start recording, and like we have better equipment now, but the recording equipment that we had a year ago and what we did record became Sci Fidelity, the first album. We recorded on essentially like outdated equipment. I was using a laptop that I think I got in like the late 2000s probably, and the Tascam audio mixer that I had, I think I got in like 2007.
And we all looked really rough in that
video.
Yeah, we hadn't gotten haircuts. Like I had Salvador's wife shaved my head. I hadn't shaved. Bobby Westside actually is known for his perfect hair, and his hair was quite shaggy.
Yep,
that day.
Super shaggy because my barbershop was closed.
Yeah, we looked rough the first time we ran through that.
And you know, when you have a main like this, you don't just trust anyone to cut your hair. I would do like maintenance work every now and then, but I waited as long as I could to get a haircut, so it's just so good to be done by a professional.
So we recorded those original tracks for Sci Fidelity, right?
Right. I think we recorded like 11 drum tracks in one day.
Yeah, we were throwing it down.
Right.
And some of the songs we recorded, like we did a track for Social Distancing. We did a track for
Alone Together. And we did many others. Do you wanna talk about why we had to re-record these a couple weeks ago?
Painful to talk about.
So, as we were saying, we recorded 11 songs last year that were supposed to be on Sci Fidelity. Some of them might have been on other recordings, or other releases, but they were supposed to be on Sci Fidelity. So spent, I think, 2 days recording drums, recording bass, and then I spent like the next month recording guitars and my vocals. And I think I was like finishing up I was finishing up Social Distancing, and I was like, I just got done with the vocals. I'm like, okay, I got done with this. I'm gonna like walk away for a little bit and then come back to it and see if I liked it. And as soon as I walked away, my computer just crashed. Like it was frozen for a little bit, then the screen just went black. And the thing was, we had like 6 songs complete. Every song that's on Sci Fidelity were the only recordings that were complete out of the 11 tracks that we had recorded. because we were working on recording vocals. And I didn't have an external hard drive at the time. This is a very like lo-fi production we were using back then.
As opposed to what we've got going on now.
Yeah, right now we have like medium fi.
Medium fun.
Yeah. Is it the highest fidelity? No, but it's pretty good.
We're almost the wall of sound.
Exactly. So yeah, I didn't have an external hard drive, so just everything was lost. I think 7 songs, because I think we came back like at a different weekend and we recorded like a couple more. But basically, we recorded almost all the songs that we currently have in our roster. And then they were just all gone. Just poof. And I texted you guys as soon as it happened. What were your guys' thought when you like found out that a lot of the songs we had were gone?
It took me so long to record some of the bass tracks. Like, oh no. Mr. Salvador Wheelie fell asleep for one song because it took me so long to record it. Finally got it after maybe take 57,000. But I was like, oh man. it took me so long to record some of those tracks.
I was frustrated because I know all of the work that we all put into it, and then just to know that it just all went off in a poof. But it did give us the opportunity to re-record some of the stuff. The stuff we're doing now sounds better. The tracks we've recorded since the crash, they sound better. The performances are better. The recordings all around sound better. I defy anyone to listen to it and call it lo-fi.
I mean, everyone's a critic. Someone's gonna call it lo-fi, because that's just our aesthetic now.
The Velvet Underground was lo-fi. They're legendary.
Who are they? I'm just kidding. But yes, we did. I bought an updated audio mixer. With my stimulus check.
We all got some good stuff.
Yeah, I used a portion of it to buy Logic Pro, like essentially professional, the most professional recording software I could afford. And that's what we're currently using right now. And it's what we used for this batch of songs.
Right, and upgraded the mics.
Yes.
The.
Like now we have 3 Shure SM58s that we use to record all the vocals. We have a set of drum mics. We have SM57s the
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we have now an SM57 to record the instruments, which like when I listen to the guitar tracks from Sci Fidelity, like I think they sound great. But I was just using, I think I was using an SM94 that we borrowed from Salvador's mother-in-law. And it's a good condenser mic, but the guitar just sounded so much better as soon as I switched to the SM57. It just sounded brighter. And I am just in love with that microphone right now.
Why don't you marry it?
I will marry it. You're a child.
Dad jokes over here.
So when I was recording the guitar tracks for social distancing, I think I did two takes. So I used my Fender Strat, dubbed Jennifer, and I used that to record the verses, and I used it to record the bridge and then the outro, because I like the way that sound better. But then I used my Les Paul 2 Special to record the choruses, because that was the only guitar that you couldn't hear like my fingers scraping against the strings when I was playing that riff. The down now 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 down now 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 now. You could hear every like time my fingers touched like scraped against the guitar strings on my Fender Strat. And that is like my utility guitar. It's a guitar I use for everything almost, but I'm like, I need to use a different guitar on this because I don't know if it'll bother anybody else, and a noise gate wasn't working to get rid of that sound.
I do remember the sliding.
Yes.
I remember the sliding sounds.
So for some reason the Les Paul 2 Special didn't have that. So I recorded that part using that guitar. and still just using a DS1 pedal.
Nice.
Do you want to run us through your drum setup?
It's the same one I've used for basically the entire time I've been playing drums since I first started doing that in my late teenage years. It's a Mapex Venus series I have a Ludwig Superphonic steel snare, a hodgepodge of whatever cymbals I've collected over the years, and we just set it up when we did the original tracks for Sci Fidelity. We moved all of my kids' crap out of her room and set the drum set up in there. That's why it was called Ease Room Studio.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we did these ones, we used my music space in my house, and my studio assistant and along with Bobby Westside and I tried to deaden the room a little bit because the echoes in there do not sound good. So we just tried to deaden the room and get it mic'd up as best we could, and once we were happy with what we were getting out of the mics, I sat behind the kit for 7 hours and laid it down.
Right. Yeah, because I remember we just used every like blanket or pillow or any sheet that you had in your house, and we just put it up against the walls just so that room. We just got rid of any bounce.
A lot of duct tape.
Actually, Gorilla
It
Tape.
was Gorilla Tape.
Yeah.
Oh.
We don't F around when it comes to tape.
Yeah. Especially when you don't want to tear holes into a blanket that you actually use to sleep with.
Yeah. Every blanket in my house at some point has been used to soundproof something once.
Because that's kind of what you have to do with when you're not in like a professional studio that's designed to bounce sound off walls. Because like now, like if you want the sound of like air passing through a microphone, like a guitar microphone,
like this.
Yes. If you want that sound, you can like, because I've been researching a lot of like different like plugins for digital recording, and now they have like programs that like try to create that sound for you, since you're mostly just like recording like DI recording, or you're using like programmed drums. Like we record all the drums, and most of the amps are all the guitars are mic'd, because that's just how I prefer it. I don't want to use like the amps in the program. The only instrument that we did a DI track of was the bass, because I thought it just sounded better, because the bass is just kind of like there in the background.
Should we talk about the vocal booth that you've been able to create?
Oh yeah. So I live in a 2-bedroom apartment, and I used to have a roommate, and they moved out I think a couple of months before the pandemic hit, and so I just turned that room into a studio finally. And so I just took I moved my desk in there. Like I didn't have a dolly, so I took my skateboard and I just like propped it on the desk, and I just moved it from my bedroom through the living room and then into the other bedroom. And then I just like put up a bunch of, again, same thing, just put up a bunch of blankets and pillows in the closet, and then turn that into a vocal booth.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
Because if you were filming in there, because it's a black blanket that I put up, it would just look like you were just in a black room. So it's just there to like deaden the sound, just so you can get the person's voice through the microphone.
100% of the vocals on The Stand. Well, I guess on, what's the name of the thing again?
The days the earth stood ill.
The
days the earth stood ill.
We're in The Stand right now.
The 100% of the vocals on The Days the Earth Stood Ill were recorded in the vocal booth.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. And I think everything in Sci Fidelity was also recorded in that same room, but we had a different setup at the time. Mm-hmm. But still used a SM58. Because that's just the industry standard, as we like to remind us, Sal. And it's true that it is the industry standard.
It is.
But I do want to get for the next album, I think I want to try and get an SM7B, which is a pricey microphone. But a very famous singer recorded a very famous album using that microphone. I kind of regret mentioning Michael Jackson now.
Why?
I don't
The
know.
best.
I might cut that part out. But yes, one of the big things about an SM7B, it's like, oh, the microphone Michael Jackson used to record Thriller, and that is an amazing sounding vocal performance and an amazing sounding album. So, of course, I want to get the best, even if I'm just recording in a closet.
Yeah, I tried to record flat on my back like Jamerson from Motown, but not nearly as good as he is. So.
You weren't nearly as drunk either.
No, I did that track sober in my glorious Fender Jaguar. Fender Jaguars would like to sponsor me.
Also, if I'm no loyalist. Fender Gibson, if you would like to send me guitars, I will promote the heck out of it.
I'm totally loyal to Fender Jaguar. Just saying.
I'm no loyalist, but Tama, if you're listening, hit me up. Meinl,
Fender Jaguars
Zildjian, whatever.
It's like,
has a P bass and a jazz bass pickup. Amazing.
If any drum companies are into sending free shit, if you like the album, you like what you hear, I will hawk your shit.
100%. We can be bought and sold.
I am for sale. My allegiances are for sale.
Punk rock guilt is so 2005.
Oh
I don't
yeah,
know.
no. Send me your stuff. I'll wear your t-shirts. I'll play your drums. I'll use your heads.
I'll get a Fender logo tattooed on my shoulder.
I won't go that far.
I'll do that. I'm the only one in the band with tattoos.
True.
I'll do that.
Actually, yeah, I wouldn't do that either because I don't really. If I want a tattoo, it's gonna like mean something.
Once
other
again,
than selling.
Fender Jaguars. If any of you all are listening, yes, totally loyal. P bass, jazz bass pickups, awesome. I love Fender jazz basses. I will get the Fender tattoo. I'll do it. I'll wear Fender shirts every show. Hey, Bobby Westside, what did you always call my bass? Another animal.
Black Phillip?
Oh, I always called it a
A
Mustang
Mustang.
because I had never heard of a Jaguar Fender before.
A Jaguar.
Or
Jaguar.
I've never heard of a Jaguar bass before. I've heard of a Jaguar guitar.
Yeah. You shamed me. You class shamed me because I had a Squire. So then I
It's just-
upgraded.
Again, I just wanted you to have the bass, for the bass that was good enough for your talent, so you could finally see yourself as I see you, as the second best bass player in this world.
Who's first, just out of curiosity? You're always telling me he's second.
Mike Dirnt from Green Day.
Oh, okay.
I mean, of course I'm going to pick Mike Dirnt. Of course I'm going to pick the bass player from my favorite band.
Oh, I was going to go with John Entwistle, but
I mean, this is
James
my list, not yours. So I'm not saying Mike Dirnt is the greatest bass player of all time, but he's my favorite bass player of all
also
time.
Terry Geezer Butler, if you're listening, you are my favorite bass player. You are.
I'm sorry, Geezer, you're my fifth favorite bass player. But it's there's some big names on that list. Most of them just in punk rock bands.
Well, you did talk me into playing with more brighter tone. I always turned all the tone knobs down.
Yeah, that's how your dad did it, right?
Always. Yeah, my dad's a far better bass player than me. He played a jazz bass. Always turned the tone all the way down. That's how I started playing. And then Bobby Westside talked me into doing something different.
Yeah, I basically just wanted I wanted the bass to sound the way I wanted it to sound. Because it always sounded so hollow.
Wooden. Just...
Stop making other noise.
Oh, guys, once again, I don't have headphones. Okay, I'm TV player. Okay.
TV player. I watched that movie so much during quarantine.
Well, there was supposed to be there's a minor league baseball team that plays in Erie, Pennsylvania, and they were going to have a Wonders Night this year.
Oh,
They did not have a Wonders Night this year.
that would have been so cool. Were the actors going to be there?
I don't know, but they were going to, like, their jerseys had the logo of the Wonders on it, and it was the colors. It was. I would have been there. I would have liked to have gone and bought a Wonders jersey.
If they still want to do that in the future, and they can't get the actual Wonders, we will 100% come in. We basically know all the songs in that movie.
Hey, speaking of the pandemic, all right, talking about Pennsylvania, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. How excited were you all when the travel restrictions got lifted.
There was travel restrictions. I don't go anywhere on a normal year, so
Yes, there were.
No comment.
I liked it because it meant like things are starting to get back to normal.
I was very excited.
Like the week we were recording this, the CDC says that, if you're fully vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask out in public anymore, which is 2/3 of this band.
You got one shot.
Yeah, I am 50% vaccinated.
You don't have to cover your nose
We
anymore.
call him Bob. We're gonna change his name to Bobby One Shot.
Bobby One Shots. You're gonna change my legal name.
Yeah. To Bobby One Shot.
Yeah, you don't have to cover your nose anymore because you got one shot.
So for that name to just always be true, should I just never get the second shot?
No, you should get the second
You should
shot.
definitely get the second
But
shot.
we'll just still call you Bobby One Shot.
Oh, okay. That's good to know.
That's a good one. I like that. Bobby One Shot.
You know that scene? Sorry, I going back to That Thing You Do.
Uh-huh.
That scene in That Thing You Do when their song gets played on the radio.
Yeah.
And everybody, like, they all run to the appliance store and they're freaking out and dancing and laughing and
Mm-hmm.
hopefully they play one of these tunes on the radio at some point.
Well,
That's going to be a good day.
so the thing that I always had planned, there's a podcast I listen to called Jonah Radio, and they take, fan submissions. So I submitted, it was either the version of Sci Fidelity that was on the album or the iPhone demo that I created. I submitted it and they said, great, we're going to play it. And I just listened every week hoping that it would get played.
They probably tell that to all the girls.
Because I emailed them when I emailed them the song. I was just like, because the host Jonah Ray also loves the movie. What's that song? That Thing You Do. Also loves That Thing You Do, and so I was like, oh, if you play this on their album, I will make a music video and we'll just recreate that scene. So if our song ever does get played on the radio, we're doing an homage video to that.
Okay.
I'm sorry, positive thinking. When our songs get played on the radio, even if it is just internet radio, even if
Well, all radio is internet radio these days, I think. I feel like terrestrial radio is like going the way of the dodo bird.
right.
It is a dying breed.
I submitted it to the local college station here, but I don't listen to the local college station because there's a lot of songs that I don't like that they play. So I don't know if it ever got played.
91.5?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that station.
That was where commercial radio guy got his start.
Yes, back in the the mid 2000s.
Right when satellite radio.
Early. Well, I think commercial radio guy first showed up probably in 2005. So yeah, probably mid.
Okay. Yeah.
Is commercial radio guy here today?
Yes, Commercial Radio Guy is here today. Thank you for asking.
Wow, he showed up. That's amazing.
Man, he just walked in the room.
That's incredible. You're in the middle of a podcast.
Wait, hold on. Commercial radio guy, we're going to let you finish the podcast, book in the podcast here in a second. But I think just wrapping up here, I think, is there any other things, any other points about like the production of this album you guys want to get at?
Fender Jaguar. I will be loyal.
Well, we've been working hard on these tunes. I'm pretty proud of the work we've done on Social Distancing and Alone Together. I think they are really good tunes.
Oh, dude, the harmonies you do for Alone Together were just like fire.
Yeah, that was a fun little studio discovery.
Like if I ever had to change anything in my vocals, I would make sure that they lined up with your vocals.
Yeah, because we had planned to do something different, right? Like
yeah, we were just gonna do you're just gonna double me.
I got to the vocal booth at Bobby Westside's apartment, and we had a plan. And
Studio 42.
Studio 42, and things just the plan went out the window, and it was just a moment that just happened to be created in the studio, as far as the harmony parts for Alone Together, and I think they came out really good. I'm really excited for all of you to hear. So, thank you for checking it out.
The music's incredibly catchy. I mean, one of the most important things in pop music, popular music is to have catchy music that people remember. This is just the kind of stuff that if more people listen to it, that's the kind of music that you'll be driving to work like I do, singing this stuff. Yeah. It's incredibly catchy.
And it is just essentially it's just a 2-track album, but I always wanted to group the 2 songs that were written about the pandemic together, but because we had lost half our songs, I just wanted there to be 6 songs on Sci Fidelity. So we social distancing gone, but we had Alone Together. But I wanted to re-record Alone Together for this album too, just because I wanted them grouped together, and just because I'm like, I can do a better job. The production on that was okay, but it could be better. And now I'm thinking about just re-recording the entire Sci Fidelity, but we'll talk about that later in life. So just wrapping up, I'd just like to thank anyone who's listening to this on bandcamp.com. Thank you for supporting the band. Radio Guy, do you wanna
send us off?
Send us off. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Bobby Westside. You've been listening to The Stand Podcast, featuring Bobby Westside in The Stand, giving you the story of the days the earth stood ill. Thanks for joining us today. We'll see you next time.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And wrapped.
And